welcome to Elements of Ayurveda, Empowering Wisdom of Life. I'm your host, Colette, and in this podcast, I hope to empower you to take charge of your own health by sharing the holistic teachings of Ayurveda, the ancient healing tradition from India. We will also discuss topics like health and wellness, nutrition, yoga, fitness, meditation, breath work, and much more, as well as interviewing lots of inspiring people along the way. My humble wish is to help you to connect to your true nature, to Mother Nature, and to each other. If you like the content, be sure to subscribe to the show, and the new episodes will automatically download for you to enjoy. This show is for you, and so I would really appreciate your feedback. You can also do a ratings and review in the iTunes section. Thanks in advance, and now here's the show. Hello and welcome to episode 5 of Elements of Ayurveda. Today I'm going to talk about my story and my journey with Ayurveda and how it changed my life, personally and professionally. And I'm going to do an interview with Dr. Sujatha Kekada, who is from the Ayurvedic Clinic in Ubud in Bali, where my journey began. So that's a really great interview coming up. But just to take you back a little bit about my journey and why I'm so passionate about Ayurveda, it starts back in France, where I had a yoga and fitness studio in the south of France, and I loved the work I was doing. I was running the studio. I was teaching classes, both yoga and fitness. I had personal training clients. I was training for triathlon events and really training hard and doing a lot of cycling events. I did the Ironman in France. So I felt I had a really great lifestyle, very healthy, very fit. I was eating healthy, and I presumed I was in peak condition, but that was not the case. What happened was that I became very run down. My body started to not enjoy the training as much. I was working hard because I was running my own business. I was training hard, and I was pushing my body out of balance. And due to my ignorance, I didn't realize I was doing this. I thought I had the perfect lifestyle, and I thought I was doing everything right, but I was eating the wrong foods for my constitution, which is Pitta, Kapha. I was living the wrong sorts of lifestyle. Not only was I overtraining and over-exercising, which was very aggravating to my Pitta, but I was also overworking. There was a lot of intensity due to having my own business. So everything was intense, everything was pushing hard, and I had very little balance. And so my body and my mind started to rebel. My menstrual cycle stopped. I had a lot of digestive problems and irritable bowel, a lot of dizziness, lightheadedness, and I felt that my body wasn't reacting well to what I was doing. I thought that eating so well and working out so much and training so hard, I would be really in peak condition, and my body had stopped. Really, it was revolting against me in regards it wasn't building any muscle and I wasn't making any gains, and I felt that I just needed to take some time out. I also saw that with my personal training clients, I wasn't making the changes for them in their life that I wanted. I wasn't making the big shifts. And I felt that, if I can't be a reflection of that in my own body and mind, how can I help people? So I really wanted to take some time out and reassess what was going on. I couldn't continue doing what I was doing because I could see what I was preaching was not working right for my body. And so I did that. The opportunity came around that my business premises, the lease was up. And as much as I loved the amazing community we had there, I decided to close the business, and I decided to leave France. And I felt a real calling to just go on a journey without making any plans. I think I wanted some freedom from all the structure I had in my life, and I just needed a complete break. And my intuition, which is what I was really following, my gut, was telling me just to get rid of everything and go. And this is what I did. I got rid of a lot of my physical stuff. I sold everything, and I took off on a journey that I didn't know how long I was going for. I was going to go to Thailand first and not make any plans and just see what happened along the way. It was, I guess, more of like, I didn't know at the time, but it was going to be a big spiritual journey. And again, like I said, I wasn't overthinking it. I didn't have time to overthink it because I was making decisions. I was so busy. I didn't have time to reflect on what I was going to do, which is good because I probably would have overanalyzed it and maybe tried to plan it too much, to the point where I sat on the plane after closing my business and selling everything, and all the rush to get this freedom. I sat on the plane and, I turned to the person beside me. I was like, how long is this flight? I just didn't have time to even think about it, which I guess in retrospect was a good thing. Anyhow, ended up traveling through Asia, doing yoga retreats and kind of just seeing where the wind blew me. I was meeting people along the way, and I would go to different countries, and I knew at the start of my journey that I was going to go to Bali, and I hadn't heard much about Bali. I knew there was a lot of yoga there, but I remember saying to my sister at the time before I left that I think something's going to happen in Bali. And like I said, I didn't know much about it, but I just had this feeling. So anyway, after a few months of traveling through Asia, I ended up in Bali, and I was searching for a cleanse because I felt like I had cleansed a lot of physical stuff out of my life, but I wanted to do a really deep internal cleanse. And I didn't want a 3-day cleanse. I wanted to really go in depth, a cellular cleanse. And I went to see an Ayurvedic counselor at a yoga place in Bali, and she suggested doing an Ayurvedic Panchakarma. There just so happened to be a clinic in the next village over, and I went to the clinic and I met with Dr. Sujatha, and she determined my Prakruti. She told me about why I was suffering these symptoms, what was going on in my body, what I was doing wrong. And I told her my desire to really do a deep cellular cleanse, and she suggested that I do a 3-week Panchakarma, which is a deep Ayurvedic cleanse on a cellular level, and it's really a holistic cleanse. So I decided this is exactly what I was looking for, and obviously it came into my life for a reason. And so I did it. I stayed 3 weeks at the center, and during this cleanse, like I said, it starts with a consultation where she determined my unique constitution. And then she checked about my imbalances and what was going on in my body at the time. And then I was given a schedule of treatments that I had every day, and specific foods, and ghee that I took, which is the clarified butter with special herbs just for my condition, specifically tailored to me and what was going on in my body. And my day consisted of getting up in the morning and taking the ghee, and the ghee is the cleansing agent. It goes to a cellular level, pulling out the fat-soluble toxins, the physical and the emotional toxins. And then I had yoga and meditation. I had treatments throughout the day, Abhyangam massages, which were performed by therapists there at the center. I had Shirodhara oil pouring on the forehead to calm the nervous system. I had peri-chill, which is a pouring of oil all over the body. I had flower baths, I had enemas, lots of different treatments. But basically what it felt like to me was I could just let go. The idea was to do nothing at this time, just to allow my body to heal. No tourist activities, just stay in my room, be quiet, reflection, and allow my body the space and the time to heal. And during this time, it was 21 days, so I had some free time. I started reading more about Ayurveda, and this is when the light bulb moments started to go off, because I had time and space to reflect. Prior to that, I was running a business, I was training, I had an active social life, and I didn't have this space to reflect and to sit back on what was going on. And once I started reading about Ayurveda and reading about my constitution type, oh my goodness, the light bulb moments went off. And this is why I was so out of balance. And this is why all these things were happening to my body, because I was just doing too much. And I was living a lifestyle and eating the wrong foods needs for my particular constitution. So that's what sent me out of balance. And this is why it resulted in, a revolt from my body, and my body giving me all these signals that I needed to pay attention to. And during this time of the cleanse, it also gave me a lot of clarity, and my intuition became very strong, and I knew that this is what I was missing all along in my work. I had been in the health and fitness industry for over a decade, and this is what a component, the whole spiritual side of it, the whole energetic side of it, that I didn't have when I was personal training with my clients, when I was teaching classes. And this is just would give me a more well-rounded service and a more holistic approach. So after the cleanse, I felt amazing. I felt like I had wiped the slate clean. I had rejuvenated my body. It was a very nurturing cleanse. I had created space in my body, both physically and mentally. And then with that space, awareness could enter, and I started seeing my true self and more about my dharma, where I was to go. And not only was the center, the Ayurvedic center, a great place, and for me to stay there and feel nurtured, but also Bali itself was very healing. So I had a great kind of cocoon to allow this spiritual awakening inside me, and I was clear that Ayurveda was my path. So at the end of the cleanse, I wasn't too sure what I was going to do or where I was going to go next. And again, I was on that path of I'm not making any plans, just follow my intuition and see what happens. And then it turned out that the Ayurvedic Center needed a yoga teacher. So I started teaching yoga there after my cleanse the clients. It was great because I had experienced the cleanse. I knew what the clients were going through. I was able to adapt the yoga for their cleanse and tailor it to them. And I ended up staying there for almost a year and working alongside Dr. Sujatha and her husband Frank at the center and learning so much about Ayurveda. And at the same time, I was studying Ayurveda online. So this was such a fantastic opportunity for me, and it really became my whole world. I was very passionate about learning Ayurveda, and I knew that it had changed everything in me personally. I came to an understanding of my true nature, what I needed, how I needed to eat, how I needed to exercise, the lifestyle that was best for me, how to structure my day, what were my strengths, what were my weaknesses. I really, for the first time in my life, understood myself personally, and then professionally, I knew that this was the path that I wanted to take. This was information that I felt we all needed, because not only understanding yourself, but now you understood the other, at least I understood the other constitution types. So my relationships improved professionally and personally, because I understood the characteristics of the constitution types, and I understood that that people were different, of course, we all know this, but why they would do things a certain way, and I had more compassion and more empathy for people just by understanding the different constitutional types. So this cleanse that I went through really was amazing. It was really an eye-opening experience, and I truly got so much out of my 3 weeks during the cleanse, and then the year in Bali was really a lot of education and eye-opening awareness. And this is why I now feel the call and the passion to go out there and spread the word of Ayurveda for others, because I wish we got this at a young age. It would save years of banging our heads against the wall trying to figure ourselves out. If we understood our constitution at a young age, there would be less comparison to others, there would be more confidence in our decisions, and we would, like I said, have more compassion for others. So I feel it would help our relationships and help our communities be more compassionate and have more empathy with others. And so that was my journey into Ayurveda. And I feel that, this, if we could combine this understanding of Ayurveda with our professions and into our lives, it would really help us to have more ease and less suffering, because we would have more confidence in our decisions and a more of an understanding and awareness and an empowerment of ourselves. So that's my story. And now I want to introduce you to my mentor, Dr. Sujatha, and along with her husband owns the clinic, the Ayurvedic Clinic, Amrtasiddhi in Bali, and this is somewhere I really recommend. It's a wonderful healing space, and I'll let Dr. Sujatha tell you more about it. I will put the link to the website in the show notes. But so here is my interview with Dr. Sujatha. I hope you enjoy it. Dr. Sujatha, welcome to Elements of Ayurveda, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Colette. It's fun to reconnect with you and talk again.
Yes. I've been telling the listeners about my story and how I came to you and to your clinic, and I'm really looking forward to asking you more questions about the clinic and what Ayurveda can do for people and your programs there. So let's get straight into it. And what I love to ask people is how you were introduced to Ayurveda. How did Ayurveda come into your life? Because there's always an interesting story there.
For me, I think I grew up with Ayurveda. My mom was a homemaker and she was very much into cooking. My mom never opened a can for a food, so she ground every spice. So she handpicked them. Mm-hmm. She used food as medicine for us. Not much I went to see doctors and stuff. I would remember only once I had some bronchitis problem. That's the time I went to see a doctor. Got antibiotics. Other than that, my mom, took care of our illnesses, and she would tell how Ayurvedically say, okay, this is not good if you have a phlegm, or this is not good, you experience some heat and inflammation. I grew up with that philosophy and food as medicine and garden and, picking wild vegetables and all those things. So it came with me, and I love that. And I grew up in a place too, which was in a foresty area, river. And I spent most of my holidays as a child outside picking berries, herbs, leaves, playing. Yeah. So that gave me a good foundation. And then officially, as a study, I got introduced to Ayurveda when I was 17. When I finished my pre-university, I was always interested in biology, was my favorite subject. So I wanted to study medicine. That's how I did in my pre-university, took biology as a major. And as usual, my focus was to study regular allopathic medicine, and I wrote for a scholarship exam, and I did not get that scholarship, so I was disappointed. Mm-hmm. And while I was thinking what I do next, study biology, microbiology, all those things, and then my dad's good friend, he came to us and said, why don't you look into studying Ayurvedic medicine? Wow. Then I thought, okay, there's another opportunity, another way I can study medicine. So I applied for a scholarship, I wrote the exam, and I got chosen. Great. That's how it just kind of opened my doors into Ayurveda, and I was very lucky. I'm very happy that I studied Ayurveda rather than the allopathic medicine. Another good part of studying Ayurvedic medicine is it combines the allopathic medicine, the basic things, what you study in the first 2 years of medical school, like anatomy, physiology, pathology. It's the same subject, same books we study, but along with that, we study the body in a much more energetic way, connecting the mind, spirit, and other aspects.
Right, a much more holistic approach.
Made the whole science as a very unique and special, but I could focus on food as a medicine and study about Ayurvedic pharmacology and understand the body physiology, anatomy, the way everybody understands. So I'm very lucky, and I'm very happy that I was able to study Ayurvedic medicine, and that became my passion later on.
Beautiful. And it was so natural to you, having grown up with it, and that your mother incorporated it into your life as well.
Very much so.
Yeah, that's a great story. Love it. So what does Ayurveda mean to you?
Ayurveda is I would say, it makes me sound a bit too much, but Ayurveda is my life. It's my passion. It's my dream. And I look life through the eyes of Ayurveda. So my whole life is around Ayurveda.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can tell it's your passion. When I was there with you at your center in Bali, you could definitely tell you were so passionate about it, and it just shone through your every pore. So it definitely, you can feel that energy around you. Now, how would you describe Ayurveda to other people? Because for a lot of people, it's new, and there's a lot of myth around Ayurveda. How do you, if someone came to you and said, well, what is this Ayurveda? What would your answer be?
These questions, I ask people, do they know anything about Ayurveda? The funny story, it always comes into my head is when I first came to Bali to start working, introducing Ayurveda to a big health resort. That's how I came to Bali. And there was a guy there, and he once somewhere we met, and the guest there, he just asked, "What is Ayurveda? Is it a fruit?" He asked me.
Oh, wow.
Because in Bali you have lots of different fruits, which are the names like a mangosteen, rambutan, for people. So he probably thought it's a kind of fruit because he saw somewhere in the menu, you heard somewhere.
Right.
So, it's the funniest question for me. Like, sometimes the world don't know much about Ayurveda. Some people might even not heard.
Right.
So I start with them, even when people come for a consultation, ask them, whether it's the first time. Then I give them an introduction. I say, Ayurveda is a medical science originated from India. And it's a science which main aim is to prevention of the disease. And also it works as a medical system. So this is something everybody can learn to understand. A commoner can learn about it and apply to take care of themselves. And it's a medical system which incorporates the body, mind, spirit, and put them all together and create well-being with the consideration of all these things, not only just curing a symptom and taking health in your hand. And whatever need to learn about health and well-being and inner harmony and joy and happiness, it's a science which has got everything in it. Right. So it's a prevention care and it's a medical system. So, and anything can be looked through the eyes of Ayurveda.
Yeah, and it's such a depth, right? What I think we're in danger of here in the West is making it just about the doshas. I just wrote a blog on this recently about how, we think of, and I was certainly introduced when I did my yoga training back in early 2000, I was introduced to Ayurveda as the three doshas, and I thought that time that was it. I didn't realize until I came to Bali and did my cleanse with you and started studying Ayurveda that it was so much deeper than that. And I think we're in danger here of just compartmentalizing it and just thinking of it as a dosha quiz when it's such a shame because it's so much more.
That's true. Sometimes it's almost like when you see into Ayurveda as just a dosha assessment. It's almost like you go to a fortune teller and then ask, tell me what's the predisposition predictions you have about me, about my body. So it just limited to that. But at least people are curious in that way. And then when you find the right person, a physician or like person like you who's passionate and want to work and offer people different services and go in depth, there's a whole new universe opens up.
Right. Yeah, and I agree. I think the dosha quizzes or just understanding your dosha is a stepping stone into it, and then it kind of can unfurl into a great understanding of this wisdom and how much it can help you in every aspect of your life as well as your health, right?
That's right.
Now, you mentioned that you first came to Bali to a health resort, and I want to kind of get into talking about your clinic there, your Ayurvedic clinic, which is called Amrtasiddhi, and I'm going to spell that for people. It's AMRTASIDDHI, so it's Amrtasiddhi. And just tell me about how that originated and how it came to be. And then I have lots more questions after that.
Okay. Amrtasiddhi originated in 2006. Prior to that, we were in Bali, and we came to Bali to set up a Ayurvedic health retreat place in a five-star hotel. We were living in, me and my husband Frank Pepke, we were living in England, in London, and then we got offered to work in Asia. So they had few resorts, and they wanted to introduce Ayurveda as their main wellness program. And they wanted to make one of the five-star hotel in Bali as their destination spa. And we both came. We set up the whole Ayurvedic system there, trained the therapist, and organized all the oils and products needed for that. And we came for 1 year. Then we liked Bali, so we extended our contract for 2 years. And after 2 years, we both felt there was a little bit limitations of passionately what we could do with, Ayurvedic medicine. My husband, who primarily he studied sports medicine, and he was into yoga, meditation. He was teaching that part and supporting me with my training and training spa therapists and setting up the place. So after the 2 years, when I felt there's a limitation, because when people come to a spa, their idea is about to relax and get a bit better. So there's always a boundary, because sometimes when some healing happens, there is a little bit of a challenge and difficulties. And to overcome, either you need to come prepared that you want to heal something. And when you come to a spa area, it's more like pamper me, make me feel good. Then you can't, there is a barrier, you can't really go in depth. And then as a physician, for me, where I thought there's a lot could be done, it felt like a little bit, having a little oof that I can't really fully go over and show that there is something more is in Ayurveda, and the more the person can get. So then we quit the job in after 2 years. Then we said, okay, let's start our own. We rented a small 2-bedroom house in the village called New Kuning, where our clinic is still. And we started. So it was just me and my husband, and we did everything. We did the bookkeeping to preparing medicine to cleaning to massages to all the things. Just two of us started this as a day clinic where people come and go, and we would slowly then we thought, okay, maybe we could do a bit more. People can come for longer cures. So we communicated with the neighboring hotels. We accommodated people in the neighboring hotel. We cooked food in our house, and we hired 2 staffs to prepare the food and deliver the food. Then they would come for the treatments. We hired 1 therapist, and slowly, like it took 2 years for us to feel like, okay, this is working, we could do. So we had in the beginning of the year whether we want to be in Bali, whether it's going to work here, because its place is very transitional. Tourists come and go. So thought, it might be challenging for people to have a long-lasting effect. When you heal someone, you need to constantly follow up and support them, which I thought could be missing when people come and go for a OP facility. And somehow when we started accommodating people in the hotel, they could stay for longer, so we could see the healing and what they came for being visible. So we felt good about it, and the business started working. And 3-4 years later, we thought, okay, now maybe it's time for us to have our own place where people can stay and everything is put together. Then we rented a piece of land in the same village and slowly started building one building after the other. And now we are a fully established center with the 35 staffs, and everything is working in one unit. And it's a gradual work. We didn't have money to build up in one go, so we just did step by step. And we appreciate all our clients who believed in us and went through our growth and supported us. And that's how Amrtasiddhi came into existence.
Yeah, and the setting is amazing, and it's just a wonderful center. For those of you who are not familiar, Bali, of course, an island, one of the islands in Indonesia, and New Kuning is a little village just outside of Ubud. It's Ubud is right in the center. It's in the center, you would say, right, of Bali? So it's a little mountain village amazing, lots of great energy. And then New Cunning is just a short walk, really. It's about a 20-minute walk from the center of Ubud, and it's just the other side of the monkey forest. And it's just a magical place. And what makes Bali such a great setting for an Ayurvedic clinic, I think, is that the Balinese philosophy is very similar with the philosophy of Ayurveda. And Balinese philosophy has the three causes of well-being. That's harmony with the people, and harmony with nature, and harmony with God or spirit. So it just lends itself so well to...
That's true.
To
and
as
a nature, Bali has a very strong healing energy. It really does a cleanse. Even just you don't do anything and you come there and you start to cleanse your emotions.
Sure, absolutely.
Life just comes in front of you, and you better do something with it, or you get crushed if you don't want to do anything with it.
That's very true. It's a real energy vortex in Bali. It's one of the great energy vortexes, I think, in the world. And I think it draws you in, and then you do your healing there. And then when it's ready, it kind of spits you out, and you're like, okay, off you go.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I felt. But it's a very nurturing place to go and to heal. And they're so connected to nature. And the Balinese people are just such a wonderful and welcoming people as well.
That's true.
It's a great place to go.
Yeah, that's how, we came for a year, and now we've been here for 13 years and we still haven't left.
I know. It's such a wonderful place. And I couldn't think of a better place to go and do some deep cleansing and some healing. Now, I wanted to ask you about the name Amrtasiddhi. What does it mean?
The Sanskrit word Amrtasiddhi, it's the two words put together. The word translation would be mastering nectar of life. In another way to explain mastering well-being, mastering health, mastering wellness, happiness. It's mastering the nectar of life, which sustains life and gives a beautiful health, serenity, harmony for us to live on this earth. So it's a method to master those things.
Beautiful. And that kind of then answers my next question, which was about the philosophy of Amrtasiddhi, which is essentially that then, I guess.
Yes, that. And stemming from that idea is, preventing diseases. And then if we fall off the wagon and it manifests into a disease, then taking care or curing the disease is our philosophy. And integrating both body, mind, spirit all together and working on all areas so that the health can be long-lasting and sustainable, and taking ownership of your health.
Yes.
When you kind of, treat symptoms, you may feel better as long as you're taking the medication, and the symptoms might cure, but the root cause of it is not healed. So you want to approach in many different directions and, work on the body, emotions. And, we give a lot of importance when people come to our clinic to not only just work on their physical ailments. We support the physical healing through different treatments, medications, yoga, all those things. But there is an emotional component to it, that a manifestation of the disease or some issues we have in our lives, some unhappiness, unresolved things. So those are also different toxins which body doesn't need. So while you work on the physical body, those things comes up, and you need to support that too. So there's an emotional detox should be done along with it. Yeah. And we give equal importance to all the aspects. And that's our philosophy, that people can take health in their hand as long as they want to work on themselves, both physical and emotional. And we are there to support and, take empowerment of your health and, keep maintaining, keep healing yourself.
That's what I love about Ayurveda. It's a holistic approach, and it's getting to the root of the problem. But the biggest thing for me, and the biggest difference between the Ayurvedic approach and the Western approach, is Ayurveda is trying to empower you to become your own healer, as it were, to understand your body, to know the signs of when it's out of balance, and to empower you to know what to do when it's out of balance, and go forward living a life that's more holistic and keeping yourself well and preventing illness. I want to talk about the programs that you offer at Amrtasiddhi. What type of programs do you offer for people?
Various different programs we offer. The basic introductory program, we start with 3 days, and then we have up to 28 days plus. the 3-day program is somebody who have never done a detox, never looked into a holistic way of taking care of their health, just an introduction for people to do, and don't have time, all those things.
Yeah.
Then we have 5-day program, which is a little bit more deeper than the 3-day, and then we have a 7-day version, which is if you want to do a bit of a cleanse, but not through the Panchakarma version, this is the longest program you could do, where you could cleanse your intestine, cleanse your kidneys, cleanse your liver, and then have a good kickstart. And then we have a Panchakarma based program, so a simple introduction with the Panchakarma base. We don't call it as a Panchakarma program. We have a 8-day ghee based detox program. And then we do the Panchakarma program, which starts with 12-day, 21-day, 28-day. They are just depending on how chronic your illness is, and what the area you want to work, how depth you want to go. So based on that, there's a 12, 21, and 28-day program. Panchakarma being the most deeper cellular level cleansing, working with the cleansing of both body, mind, and spirit. These are the program used in. You don't have to be sick if you want to prevent illness. It's like servicing your body, like how we take our car and service yearly or monthly, depending on how old is your car. The older the car, the more frequent you want to do it. The more you use the car, you want to do more frequent to the servicing based on how many kilometers you run per month or so. So depending on how hectic your life, how toxic your life is, both physical, emotional, you would periodically do this cleanse just to maintain it. And this process is also used if you have any illnesses, to remove the root cause of the illnesses. You want to clean the body before you nurture the body. Having said that, some of the illnesses, it's not necessary that you have to do the detox. Some of the illnesses may come because you're overexhausted, overtired, like the vata imbalance-based diseases, where you're too depleted, dried up, and you didn't eat well, didn't sleep well. So there's nothing to cleanse. You need to give something nourishing and to bring up the energy back. Right. So this needs to be wisely chosen. So detox is not always the solution.
Yeah,
so some of the programs yes. Yeah. So we have a program specifically made for that. We call the rejuvenation Panchakarma, which is 10-day long or can be longer. So that's where you build from depletion related diseases or imbalance or condition.
Yeah. And the Panchakarma is what I did, which Dr. Sujatha recommended to me when I arrived pretty depleted, exhausted from life. And yeah, it was amazing. And just to kind of give people an idea of the process.
Yes, in the consultation, I basically assess your constitution to understand what's your predisposition, what's your tendencies, how your metabolism works, so what are your emotional tendencies. Then from there to see what is out of balance, so that's creating the low energy, or it could be some aches and pain or something which you're not comfortable and you want to feel better within yourself. And then identifying that imbalance, then there's a basic program guideline we have, which everybody has to undergo. And what becomes very unique and specific is what oils we use, what herbs you use, what kind of food you're going to eat. And then we add in some different treatments which is specific for your conditions. So there's a basic treatment of, Abhyanga, the warm oil massage, the Shirodhara. Those things it's common for everybody. And then we add few new treatments into it to custom make for you. And then you have a custom made diet, you have a custom made medicines used, sometimes maybe different pressure for treatments. These are the way we customize what is right for you to achieve what you want to achieve. It's working in a team. We work together, the client and the physician work together, understanding, and then, sometimes the client may have some challenge with doing some things like the ghee, and then understanding it and making the way the person is comfortable to do that. So take a baby step and make sure that you feel safe, and, that's the way it's working as a team.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love, of course, that it's individually tailored in Ayurveda. The physician sits down with each individual and listens to your story and looks at every aspect of the person's life, right? Because every aspect, it's not just physical, emotional, spiritual, relationships.
Very
everything.
much. Relationship plays a very big role in manifestation of your disease or happiness in your life.
Yeah.
And it's a personal relationship too. You're not talking about your relationship with your spouse or boyfriend. It's your relationship with yourself.
Right, absolutely. Because that's where it needs to
Mm.
start, right? The healing needs to start with yourself. And going through the cleanse, it's so nurturing. You really feel such nurturing, not only from the food, but then the treatments. Dr. Sujatha just mentioned the warm oil massage, which is called Abhyanga. And then there's a Shirodhara, which is the pouring of oil on the forehead, and that's for the nervous system, right, Dr. Sujatha? And
Yes.
then there's also the Pirichil, which is a pouring of oil all over the
Yeah,
body.
that's a deeper treatment.
It's so lovely. And then there's lots of other individualized treatments as well. But when I went through it, I just felt so taken care of. And it just allowed me to completely relax and let go and know that my every need was met, physically and spiritually and emotionally, and that I could really just allow the healing to happen. And that's the experience I had at your clinic. It was just felt so nurturing, and the staff are wonderful. The staff are so compassionate. Now, we talked about how Ayurveda is not just a detox, but it goes more on a deeper level. You can it can be for rejuvenation. It could be for healing a disease if the disease is manifested, if the imbalance is manifested into something bigger. But is there any particular transformations that you would like to talk about today, or tell us a story about any big transformations that you've seen with somebody going through your programs? Obviously protecting clients' confidentiality, but is there any stories that you could share?
There are quite a few stories of amazing experience I had supporting people to heal. Few cases of what commonly that the Western medical system, don't have yet a very efficient healing or medicine is neurological problems, particularly MS. There was a few cases of MS I've been working with. People came with quite a lot of medication, steroids to prevent inflammation and scarring of their nervous tissue. Their dedication and trust in me and working and following, it's not an easy process. You have to be dedicated to following certain way of living, let go of your old habits which doesn't support you.
Yeah.
Over the years of working 3-4 times, they come regularly coming for the cure and following the things, taking medications. I had a really good case of a person who had MS, came out of the medication, steroids and all the other depression, anxiety medication, which you end up taking because of the condition. They're free from that, and they are having a more happier life without medicine, without the disease progressing and making them ridden to their wheelchairs. That's one of the neurological related condition. And also, I have a very, I'm really proud to say this. I have a neurosurgeon who is my patient, and he's a bit elderly person, and he's been coming to the clinic for the last 4 years. He used to walk around. He had a problem with balance, and used to walk around walking sticks. But regularly coming to the program, he improved us a lot. Now he could walk around without holding a stick in his hand.
Wow.
And for me, it's really nice to see a allopathic doctor who is a neurosurgeon able to believe and trust in me and understand.
Yes, and be open to it.
Another doctor who is a medical doctor as well, and I think he's a gynecologist, and he had some cancer, and I worked over him in his remission period and stuff, and he's cleared.
Wow.
He did the other medication too, but support with us. The quality of his life, his approach to his life, all those things majorly transformed.
Yeah.
Another condition with Crohn's disease, which is a common related Crohn's condition. Person has been on medication and low energy and very depressed and stuff. We had a very successful in treating Crohn's condition.
Yeah.
Other one, very fascinating for me to see with people with lots of undiagnosed, fibromyalgia condition, Lyme disease.
Right.
where I must admit that it's a challenging work to work with fibromyalgia and Lyme's because their body is so sensitive. You need to take a really slow step and work with them and heal lots of emotions. There's lots of emotions involved in Lyme and chronic fatigue
Oh,
condition.
interesting.
Another great success we say autoimmune condition. People with autoimmune lupus erythematosus or Hashimoto's and rheumatoid arthritis, where it is your body fighting against your own immunity and creating imbalances, where people end up using lots of medication to suppress their immunity, and then they take lots of painkillers depending on what you have, anti-inflammatories and all these things even further creates another disease because it's a lots of load on your liver and also the emotions they undergo. If you're not taking care of that, there's no basically coming out of that loop. You're given medicines forever, and the doctors say that this is something you need to continue to take. But I can say with my experience, it's not true. There are people who believed in their body and its ability to heal. My concept is if your body has created something and you know why the body created, you can undo it.
Absolutely.
But it takes effort, it takes responsibilities, it takes finding right person to support you. And once you could do that, you can cure. And we have people who are free from the medication, they're maintaining their health without having to take another pill.
I love it. And it's all natural with Ayurveda.
It's all natural, yes.
It's just herbs and decoctions and food and lifestyle
diet,
adjustments.
lifestyle.
And, some mindfulness techniques as well. Again, it's so important to approach it holistically and the cure is in the holistic approach, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's just wonderful, absolutely wonderful. So what piece of wisdom or advice would you give the listeners today if there was one thing you could tell them today? And if that's not a loaded question, but if it was just one thing that you could share with them today that could help them in their health or in their journey to Ayurveda, what would you share?
I would say it's not that difficult to be healthy. Health is very easy. Only thing we all need to do is to understand myself, understand my body, understand the need of my body. And our body has got this innate wisdom to always protect us, always bring balance. It's when we disconnect from ourselves, look for everything outside us, then where we don't listen to the signals, the signs, whatever the intuition, all those things our body tells us to do what's right for us. That's where we go get disconnected. And we look for outside, and that's where the imbalance starts to happen. So as simple to say, getting back to yourself, love yourself for who you are. When we assess the doshas or constitution, it's understanding your strength, understanding your weakness, understanding what will work best for you. Yeah. We all are very unique individual, which we proudly say without awareness that when it comes to, I like this, I don't like this, this makes me feel happy. That's the individuality. And when we have to discriminate and differentiate, we very much use that. But why it should not be that your body functions very differently? You have certain strength, you have certain weakness. Why to make it everything common?
Yeah.
Why the food or the activities, things need to common? Why we have to compare ourselves, say, oh, I want to be like that person. That's the best thing. There's something very unique and creative about each and every individual. Everyone has a strength, everyone has a weakness. So it's about finding out, getting in touch with yourself, knowing yourself, and nurturing that part of you would guide you to whatever you want to create for yourself.
I love it. That's great advice. And having that knowledge just really empowers you. And actually, I want to ask you as well, do you recommend that people cleanse? And in Ayurveda, cleansing is a natural part of the Ayurvedic and the yogic lifestyle. Do you recommend that people cleanse on a regular basis?
Yes, it's very important to cleanse on a regular basis. Even if we follow fairly, Ayurvedic or eating for your constitution, daily exercise and stuff, there are other things which we can't control for ourselves. We live in a place or surrounded by other things, pollutions, now whatever happening in the universe, with the, climate change, all those things, radiation, all those things. There are certain things which affect us in a gradual process. There's a beautiful expression given in Ayurvedic classical text saying, if you leave a clean pearl in a corner, eventually it gets accumulated with dust on it, and you need to clean it. So regularly over the period of time, stress, uncontrolled emotions of others, energy, pollutions, all those things. These are nowadays, food is not that clean anymore. Contamination, radiation, packaging, all those things. There is a residue of unwanted stuff will be in there. So that can gradually accumulate it. And before that gets worse and manifests into a disease, it's good regularly to cleanse yourself. And how often to cleanse, it always depends on what environment you live in, what kind of emotional life you have, how much stress you have based on that. If a person has a fairly good life and they can say, I'm happy and I can manage my stress, things are going, once a year would be good to do a cleanse. You're talking about doing a cleanse minimum of 7 days, because your body takes 7 days for you to process things and cycle and show some, transformation.
Right. Great. I could talk to you forever, of course, but we'll have to let you go with your day. You're like 15 hours ahead of me, so it's morning for you there. But before I let you go, is there any other information that you would like to share with the listeners, and of course how they can find out more information on Amrtasiddhi and the programs?
What I would like to say for everybody is just there's so many things out there, nutrition, food, or if you're in a condition, you get lots of advices from friends, people to do this. And then sometimes people can frustrate it because you get so many information and you apply it and then you don't see what works and what doesn't work. It's about, would be good to look into and say, why am I doing this? Why am I eating this much of minerals or pills or salads or these things? Always ask yourself a question, is this good for me? Because my body is different. Do I really need it? Maybe I already have this being consumed or taken in different form. So there's no one thing good for everybody.
Yes.
So it would be good to understanding your body, a little bit of understanding, because it's life and the area we live, and we have very less time invested in understanding body physiology, how it works and what's good and what's not good. A little bit having a knowledge about the nutrition, because because it's you. Without this body, you would not be able to dream of and do things you want to. And yet we forget to eat at the right time, eat the right food. And we work so hard to make money so that we have a basic things like shelter, safety, and food. And then I hear people saying, I don't have time to cook, I don't have time to eat.
Right.
So it's a really time to pause and think, what am I really doing? Where am I going?
Absolutely.
And if I'm happy and I'm balanced and strong, can I get all the things I want? Yes, you can. You need to start with yourself. Take responsibilities for your health, your happiness, your emotions, and from there, everything you can manifest what you want.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And to have that strong foundation of knowledge from Ayurveda, and then the daily habits from Ayurveda, what's called the dinacharya, to have those in place so you have a really good foundation of routines and understand what foods you eat and what lifestyle is best for you and what exercise good for you, and and understanding yourself completely. Yeah, that's great advice. So what is the website where we can send our listeners to find out more information?
Our website is called www.amrtasiddhi.com. So there's all information needed for you to contact us, information on different programs, all the information is there. And I think that's all we have advertised. Generally it's been word of mouth and people like who trust in us and they tell. So we don't have any other area of advertising at the moment. Maybe in the future we might spread our wings out, because it's our passion, me and my husband. Our dream is to bring Ayurveda globally, educate people, and give the tool in their hands. So for now, it's just the website we have got. And Colette, you're there, so people can contact you if they want any further information. I hope that's fine for you.
Oh, absolutely. And I'll put a link to the website in the show notes. And I hope that I'll make it back to Bali to see you one of these fine days. And I hope that maybe I can bring some people with me to experience your center. So that's something I want to manifest. Too. Yes, I think it'd be amazing. But I do highly recommend Amrtasiddhi if you have the opportunity to go to Bali. It's a amazing healing center, and then in the island of Bali, the island of the gods, you couldn't ask for a more healing environment. It's just wonderful. So Dr. Sujatha, I want to thank you so much for taking the time out to come on the show today. I really appreciate it, and I'd love to maybe check back in sometime in the future again.
You're very welcome, Colette, and I wish you all the best in the direction you're going and your passion to, help people with Ayurveda. So I'm really happy to hear that.
Yeah, well, you're a big mentor for me. You're the start of my journey. So it means a lot. I have a special place in my heart for you and for Amrtasiddhi. So thank you so much. Take good care of yourself, and please say hello to everybody at the center.
Thank you. Bye-bye, Colette.
Bye. Take care. So I hope you enjoyed that interview with Dr. Sujatha and got some further insight into the world of Ayurveda. Now, while it's an amazing experience to go to Bali, it's not for everybody and it's not available to everybody. So if you wanted to do a consultation or a cleanse, I offer them online, which makes it more convenient for people. I can work with people worldwide. We can do it online and chat by Skype or FaceTime or by phone. That's totally up to you. And I also have group online cleanses, which I do annually, actually twice a year at the change of the seasons. And I also do them privately if people need them privately throughout the year. And you can schedule that on my website. I'll put the link in the show notes. And we actually have a group online cleanse coming up September 22nd. So taking part in the cleanse with the group is going to be more cost effective. And again, you can find out all the details on my website, Elements Healing and Wellbeing. And you'll find the cleanse info under the events tab. I'll put a link to that in the show notes also. Okay, thanks everybody for tuning in. And please subscribe to the show if you want to rate it and review it. I would greatly appreciate it. And I look forward to connecting with you soon. Take care and be well.